The meme lives on. The meme becometh reality. Kathleen Kennedy to step down at Lucasfilm. Oh my God, we've heard this many, many times before. We've heard this so many times. This is an interesting one, though.
I've never heard this before.
Reasons. Have you not? I'm so. Well, you're not watching Mike Zero enough. That's what it is. So basically, the sort of points raised in this one are more her age. They're like relating to her age than anything else. They're not like, well, she's dog shit, so that's why she's gone. But this is on Matthew Baloney's Puck. So I sort of created an account so I could actually read this for you all. So thanks, my data. But anyway, it says it's happening after years of speculation and polite urging from observers like him. Kathleen Kennedy has informed Disney, as well as friends and associates, that she will exit at Lucasfilm as president by the end of the year. Now, that is per, according to him anyway, 3 sources. Now, Disney and obviously Kennedy's personal publicists have declined to comment, which obviously they're going to. Now, he does say this. It's not a huge shock, of course. Kennedy will be 72 in June. And the legendary dog shit movie producer will have run Lucasfilm for 13 years into the ground as Lucasfilm's hand-picked steward under Disney. Kathy was actually apparently planning to leave last year. Now, this does actually correspond to some of the leaks that came out last year. And it does go hand in hand with all the rumors that she was going to be exiting the moment Indiana Jones was done. Well, it's done, isn't it? So if she was going to be leaving last year, that does actually make sense. So she'd even set up an exit interview with a journalist, but she decided to stay for 1 more year, obviously to get some of that sweet, sweet moolah and destroy more IP, because why would you not? And then they go to say this. So Kennedy has been telegraphing her exit lately, selling her and husband Frank Marshall's Malibu house, offloading art, and talking to friends about working with Frank more. She's also been collecting career honors from everyone from the Austin Film Festival to the American Society of Cinematographers to this week's Oscar Wilde Awards in LA. Departing this year will allow a successor to handle the 2026 release of The Mandalorian and Grogu, the first Star Wars movie since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. That's my Emperor impression. And this year, she's got only the 2nd season of Andor, which had a terrible trailer, which will likely be an Emmy contender, blah, 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 blah. And then it says Dave Filoni will be the top internal candidate, assuming Jon Favreau doesn't want the job. I'm going to go straight to you first, Nick. What's the deal? Give us the lowdown. What's your thoughts, mate?
So, as you mentioned, this has been talked about many, many times over the last 6-7 years for sure, and she's still here. I believe this time this is actually accurate. I think this is actually really happening now. It makes sense. Her contract ended at the end of October this last year. She's obviously still there, so she decided to stick around. She's getting all these awards. They're basically, boosting her up, feeding her ego, congratulating her. She'll make her last appearance at Star Wars Celebration in April. We'll probably get more confirmation there. They'll probably have a big, huge ceremony and going away party type deal for her there, praising her on how great and wonderful and stunning and brave she is, and not address any of the failures that she's had since day one. But yeah, at the end of the day, she's going to be gone, which is a great thing. But, you can remove weeds all day long, but if you don't get the roots out, they're just going to come back. So her replacement could be just as bad as her, if not worse. And the entire company over there literally needs a Doge treatment. It needs to be wiped out and built from the ground up. Of course, it's Disney. They're not going to do that. They'll just put some other clown in her position. This is not going to save Star Wars. Yeah, great. She's gone. She should have been gone a long time ago. I don't see this really changing much anything over there, though.
All right, the replacement is going to be Filoni, isn't it? And he's terrible. So
Well, he's a creative, so I'd be surprised if it was him. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily not be surprised if it was him, but it just doesn't make sense for him to be in that role. He's not a studio head. He doesn't know anything about running a studio. Um,
neither did she.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he didn't. So, but he's the ultimate example of how to fail up. Uh, so maybe they throw him in that role, but I think it's going to be what's that other dumb bee over there? Culture. I mentioned her in Pro Show.
For what, Star Wars?
Yeah, for Lucasfilm.
Oh crap, I don't remember.
Gosh, she's one of the other executives.
She's very terrible. I mean, everybody over there is very terrible.
Yeah. Lucasfilm executives. Hang on, I'll tell you her name right now. Carrie Beck. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave that pile of crap Kathy's job.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what she's doing either.
Yeah, I mean, she put an all-female team in place for the most part. There's not a lot of dudes there anymore.
No.
Amazing.
So, yeah. Kathleen Kennedy's the scourge of any studio. She had no talent. She is given credit for 80 some films that she had zero part in other than to bring people coffee for the most part. She is standing on the shoulders of far better men. And I do mean men, because that's the men dragged her over the finish line, including her husband, Frank, who just wants to make a sequel to Congo. That's all he wants to do. So, yeah. But no, this is complete garbage, and she is complete garbage, and it almost doesn't matter who she gets replaced with unless it's somebody that actually cares. And the chances of that happening coming out of her organization with people who don't really love Star Wars is nil. So if anything comes from the inside, outside of maybe Jon Favreau and maybe a couple of other people who could do this, that nobody coming out of there other than Favreau is going to be able to lift this back to where it needs to be.
See, my one issue with Favreau is in interviews that I've seen him in before, he's always talks about how he runs everything by Filoni before anything actually happens. They're very close, blah, 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 this and that. And if I was in charge, Filoni would be, I would fire him day one. I don't care about the animation stuff. I know a lot of people like a lot of his animation stuff, but he would be gone day one. And if Favreau is going to be in that position, then Filoni's basically going to have full control over everything, which he kind of does already. But he's really just going to be able to do really whatever he wants to at that point. And I think he's a complete hack. I'm not a Filoni fan at all. So I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean Favreau's good. Favreau is
Favreau is, but that's my one knock on Favreau. If Filoni was gone and Favreau was in charge, I'd be all for it.
I think that's studio politics, though. I think that's why he says those things. Yeah. He's sort of told to, but yeah, I don't know. Bo, come on then, sock it to us. What do you reckon to Kathleen Kennedy and stepping down, Star Wars, her reign of terror, the Emperor herself? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm afraid Lucasfilm will be quite unoperational when your friends arrive. Yeah, she's trying it into the ground. I hope it goes to Fav. I like the Fav, right? I mean, cue the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme played on kazoo when she leaves, right? It's a joke. The annoying thing is she'll probably have, almost certainly, right, some sort of amazing severance package, some sort of amazing pension, just millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for running the thing into the ground. There's a certain point, isn't there, where you sort of can't fail. It's only the very highest strata of society and business, but at a certain point, whatever you do, you're still just going to walk away with millions and millions and millions of pounds, dollars, and it's not fair. Hopefully, the history of film will remember her as a joke, worse than a bad joke. That's about the best you can say about her, right? I didn't realize she was that old. I know she was no spring chicken. I mean, she's a producer on the early indie films, right? So I realized she must be knocking on, but I didn't realize she was quite that old. But yeah, just a failure.
Well, she's just. I mean, she is. She's destroyed every single IP that Lucasfilm has. Like, there is no other piece of IP that they have that they can mine. Like, Lucasfilm was never a really big studio, right? So their intellectual property that they had was Willow, and then Star Wars, and then Indiana Jones. It's like, okay, you're good. All three of them are
great. Sorry.
No, like literally all three of them are completely gone now. Like, just destroyed. Like Willow, they did you know that they made like a TV show of Willow? They cancelled it after one season.
I was aware of it. I didn't see any of it. But I quite like the original Willow film. Again, it's sort of 80s, right? Yeah, it was quite cool. I remember liking it as a kid. But yeah, when I saw they were making a TV thing of it and then got wind somehow through like Mauler or Drinker or you or something or other that it was shit. Then I was like, there's like, oh yeah, another thing I'm just going to pass on then. Just one more, throw it on the pile.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to turn it around. I guess they're hoping and praying that these next Star Wars movies will be successful, but yeah.
What was the other stuff Lucasfilm had? Star Wars, Willow, what else?
Indiana Jones.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
And they screwed that up with the last film, didn't they? Completely destroyed that property.
Yeah.
Like that lost hundreds of millions of dollars, that film. Like, that was an epic failure. And what they could yeah. I don't know, that whole film was just dead from the get-go. They just should have done it. The opening sequence should have been the entire film, just that. Just set it in the past. No one wants to watch decrepit bloody Harrison Ford running around. No one wants that. No thanks, mate. No, the mortality of your heroes is not something people want to be, reminded of. No, it's good. We have the technology.
Indy goes on dialysis. Indy gets a colostomy bag. Like, yeah, who wants that? Indy suffers multiple strokes. It's like, yeah, no. Sorry,
Indy puts his hip out.
Yeah. Indy gets his third hip replacement. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, she's probably going to have just the biggest, most insane retirement package. Like, pension's going to be insane. Like, big lump sum. Everything's going to just be true Hollywood failing up. This is what we're witnessing right here. True Hollywood failing up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether this does happen or not. I think it will. Out of all the times where I'm like, yep, report on it, I'm like, this is just a rumor. This is still a rumor, but I feel like it's time. I feel like it's in the air. I feel like people know it. So yeah, I reckon
let me just add my last bit to this pile. This is reported by Matthew Bellany. Bellany has been in the industry forever in various different capacities. He lives in the neighborhood with these people, the Brentwood neighborhood where they all live. He's made it known that he is closer to Iger than most people would probably assume. And again, he's kind of the replacement for Nikki Fink when she sold out of Deadline. So when you look at this, you can kind of take it for what it is, that it's actually happening. And he has so much cred that the mainstream trades are reporting this. You have Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, and then outside of the trades, mainstream are reporting it. So we're starting to see it across all entertainment magazines because they have it. If they have the story, or they wouldn't do it. And Baloney wouldn't put it out there unless he had 3 sources that had told him this is what's happening. So there you go.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty reliable, isn't he? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Jeffrey sends in 10 Canadian dollars and says Indiana Jones and the coronary triple bypass.
Yes. Of course.
I do like it. Olaf, our great moderator in the chat, uses his membership super chat, monthly membership super chat, and says, "My bet is that her retirement will probably be before shit hits the fan when Discovery hits Disney on the Gina Carano case." Oh,
Good call.
That's actually something I brought up in the video that I just dropped. Is that
I did
yeah.
not consider that.
Yeah,
We were
Olaf's-
talking about rats jumping a sinking ship earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Olaf is right on top of it. Pretty smart guy, that Olaf fella.
That's I reckon that's I reckon that's got that could be it, eh? That could be it.
She's going to buy a giant yacht and sit in international waters, so she can't be prosecuted for anything.
Just chills there.
Just goes to
The
Argentina,
SS,
the underground in Argentina.
SSKK. The only ship she'll be on that won't be sinking. Way bad. Axon Sailor drops in with 20 Norwegian kroner and says KK moves on to Amazon to oversee the 007 franchise. God, can you imagine that? That'd be hilarious.
That actually might be worse than Jennifer Salke.
That would be so. Yeah. Kathleen would be worse than Jennifer Salke, not by much, but
still
would be worse. Yeah. Another super chat here from Chrome Clan Designs. It just says, this is not related, but just says, Red Letter Media recently did a review of a film I worked on, The King Tide. They really liked it. Yeah. Wow, good for you, buddy. I have to check that out. I've never heard of it. But anyway, there you go. Kathleen Kennedy to step down. We will see. And we'll move on now.